laying on the bed and you feel something weird. You can't figure out what it is. And you're looking around. You see in the corner, you see a shadow. And maybe that shadow feels like it's staring at you. And you get really scared. So you're thinking, I gotta get up or I gotta go do this, but you can't move. Now you're stuck in the bed. You can't do anything and your heart rate's going. And then you notice the shadow becomes a person and starts walking towards you. And that is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about shadow people. I feel like a lot of people see these things and not enough is discussed. So without further ado, let's get spooky. I worked on that for a hot second. I keep going like this, that, and this. But anyway, I am Detroit Allycat, and if this is your first time on my channel, I cover true crime, paranormal, pagan, anything weird, anything that makes you want to wear a tinfoil hat. That's me. So please, if you like my content, please leave a comment, like, subscribe. All these things do a lot for me, and they're absolutely free for you. So I know you can do this. I know you can. Okay, let's talk about shadow people because I feel like this week in the United States of America, if that's where you're from, if you're not, please tell me where you're from, has been very heavy. You can't go on social media without someone freaking out about something because right now we're like the kings of politics, you know? Like, I don't know if it's always been that way. It sure feels like it's been that way for the last 3 or 4 years. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to make a video where we lighten it up. Halloween's on the way, October's almost here. I wanted to talk about shadow people because number one, I think it's a good way of just like calming things down. And number two, I really have been experiencing the shadow people thing. So I thought, you know what, we'll talk about this and see if I'm the only one. So let's get into it. Let's talk about shadow people. I made notes. I always make notes. Like other YouTubers have like that little screen that they can read off of. No, I'm like hardcore. We got pen, we got paper. So let's talk about shadow people. They are one of the oldest phenomenons, like all over the world. One of the oldest things you hear about. It's different countries, different cultures. You hear about shadow people. There are different folklores. Uh, they were called night watchers. They were called jinn. They were even called spirits caught in between two worlds. So you have some people that believe that they're like possibly like ghosts, or maybe they're like spirits talking to you from the other side. And then there's lots of talk about different people saying that they're like evil spirits. I really wanted to know what the earliest account was, and in ancient medieval times, there were something called the Mar or the Mara. It's a night spirit that sits on the sleeper's chest and causes terrifying nightmares, also seen in Norse and Icelandic folklore. So when I was a kid, there was this like scary movie. This is probably going to date me, where this little guy comes out and this kid has like a cat. It's like I think it's a Stephen King thing. It's called This Cat's Eye. How many of you watched that? And this little goblin guy sits on this little girl's chest and like steals her breath or her essence or whatever. Eventually the cat gets the little goblin guy or keeps him away, and parents it's an okay movie. It's like old 1990s or late 80s horror movie. So those are creepier to me than the ones that they have going on now. I don't know why, but they are. But you know, a lot of people did believe that these shadow beings would like sit on your chest and try to steal like your thoughts or give you nightmares. I personally haven't experienced that. There's some more that I found. Some people in the history, they had talk about spirit folk and demons. That was really big in Middle East and Africa, and they called them the jinn. I always thought that jinn were, like, evil spirits that try to trick you, but apparently they are also considered shadow people as well. And then this is, something interesting. So, um, they also think that shadow people could be incubi or succubi, like a succubus. And then I do wanna put a warning because I was told I should put a warning. I think it's kinda weird, but, I am going to talk about SA. I hope you guys know what that means. Unwanted touching. Um, and I'll get into that in a minute, but that does I feel like that has to do with the incubi and the succubi, which are evil seductress type spirits that like seduce you to bring you to the dark side or pull something away from you. They're like demons. They're bad, but they use sex to allure you. Um, and what I thought was really interesting was, there is some documentation about this in history, and it was by David Hufford. He's a folklorist and researcher that believes in a belief traditionalist. I didn't even know that this was a thing, to be honest. I guess you can research anything, to be honest, but, he would interview people about the shadow spirits and get their, like, experiences with them. And some people have experiences with waking up paralyzed. Um, some people had experience of pressure on the chest. And this is where the assay comes into account. There were people that had experiences being sexual assayed, assayed, assaulted. I don't know why you can't say that. It's just ridiculous, to be honest. But let's just So there was this movie back in the day, another 80s or 90s movie, and it was called The Entity. And you cannot find this movie anywhere. I do not know why, but it is like a true it's a horror movie based on a real live story about an entity. This woman moves in a house and this creature it's like it likes her or like an abusive boyfriend, but it turns out to be some kind of a spirit. And there are some great scenes, and it's crazy because it's a real live account of this woman who says that this entity did things to her and at eventually she moved and the entity followed her. Now in the movie they get a little crazy and it's, like, a little bit Hollywood at the end, even though it's, like, Hollywood from the late '80s to the early '90s, but I remember watching that movie thinking, "Is that, like, true? Did that really happen?" And, I found out it was based on a true story, so that's crazy to me. And then another one was the Old Hag of Newfoundland. It's very well documented. It's another like folklore. I think like if the hag appears to you, something bad happens. There's story about the hag taking like children. I think it's interesting that people actually think that these creatures are shadow people. So to them, they see them as shadow people. And I'm trying to figure out, are they just talking about like spirits of the night or do they actually look like shadow people? Because when I think about shadow people, I think about like these dark, shadowy things. I don't think about like old hag of Newfoundland, but she's tied in there in history. All right, let's talk about some of the experiences that I like read up on. Like I went on the internet and got some of the experiences. People who see shadow beings describe them. They make it so you can't move, feel pressure in the chest. You see something in the corner of the eye. It's like a shadow, and then all of a sudden it takes shape. That's what I think of when I think about shadow people. Glowing eyes, you hear a whisper voice to stop and you have to stop and understand it, or it's too soft to understand what they're saying. And it's always the feeling of being watched. Like, you don't see somebody, but you can feel that they're being watched. These are all the things that I read about. And then there's a lot of people that, report that they, like, wake up in the middle of the night and they can't move, and that's when they begin to see things, and they see, like I've read everything from, like, monsters and demons to shadow people, but there are a lot of reports of seeing shadow people in this experience, and it's actually called sleep paralysis, where your body can't move. I think that that's a a hugely interesting topic because, like, are people really seeing what they see in sleep paralysis, or is that, like, just your mind playing tricks on you? Theories. What are shadow people? Sounds ridiculous with my, like, me opening my book. So the science points to the brain. Sleep paralysis is, so it's called hypnagogia. I don't know how to say that, so I'm just gonna say the easier one. It's like hallucination. It's a vivid vision when your mind is between sleep and awake. So basically, like, you're still sleeping, but you kinda woke up, so you're not completely awoke, but you're, like such an odd thing. I always thought that that was lucid dreaming, but this is actually where you wake up and you're not completely awake, and so you're still half asleep, but you can see and you're kind of aware, and this is, like, a perfect storm for you to have it's called sleep paralysis, and you get to see, like, different things, and they believe that it's because your mind is still in a sleep state, and it's creating things for you to see. Now I have a theory. Not a lot of people agree with my theory, so I'm just gonna throw it out here because we're talking about it. I believe that when you are asleep, your mind is more susceptible to things, and, like, you can't tell yourself, "No, I don't see this," because 'cause you're asleep. Like, you can't not see it, or that's not really there. You're asleep, so everything's there to you, right? And I think that, like, when people wake up, yes, they do have sleep paralysis, obviously, because they can't move and they're stuck. But, I mean, I personally think there is a chance that you might be actually seeing something because your mind is half asleep. It's not gonna tell you that it's not gonna filter that out. It's like you're almost closer to the veil. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I just think that, like, sleep to me is such an interesting topic as well because you could go and it's like if you could train your mind to do things while you're sleeping, which is what they call lucid sleeping, you can do so many crazy things in your own head, and the whole sleep paralysis thing, like, when you're in between awake and asleep, but your eyes are open, so you're still dreaming, but your eyes are open, so you're like you can still see things, so is it, like, a nightmare, like, something you're making up in your head, or you're actually seeing something and your whole, like, "I can't see this" is turned off, so you are seeing that because to me, children can always see more than adults. And that's because they're not old enough to have heard you can't, or you can't see this, or you can't do this. And so to them, they can see anything or do anything. And they don't know that they're not supposed to be seeing things. So if a kid tells you they're seeing something, just take a moment to have an open mind because I believe kids most of the time. I do. I think that kids have great senses of like imagination, but I really think that we should be listening to kids more. Um, okay, so then my next theory was like, are they paranormal? Are they entities that are real? They feed on fears and are drawn to paralysis. That's what I think. Some believe that they're between like the living and the dead. Spiritually, they're the echoes of the past, dark guardians, dead people, tormentors. I think that it's something that, like, we can't really explain. I've actually seen shadow people. I know that I hate, like, admitting that kind of stuff because I've had people tell me, like, "Oh, you're crazy," or "You have, like, mental illness," but the thing is, like, I'd be hard pressed to find someone that didn't believe that there was something out there that they couldn't explain, and to me, I've seen shadow people, and I can't explain it. I have some ideas on why I see this, and I've been seeing them since I was a kid, and I've just come to accept that they're gonna be there and just I act like I can't see them because honestly, it's better that way, and I know this is, like, a really spooky or weird, creepy confession that I'm making, but is it, like, a trick of my eye, or am I seeing something I'm not supposed to be seeing? That's up for you as a viewer to decide. I personally think that I'm seeing something that not everybody sees, but that's just me. And something else that I read about was the Hat Man. It's a shadow figure that appears, and it's got a hat on and glowing eyes, and it's in the corner, and it's staring at you. I think it's interesting that I found the Hat Man because if you've ever watched any of the Conjuring series, the Hat Man appears, I think, in The Conjuring 2, and I didn't know, like, he was a real thing. I really didn't. And then when I started looking up all of this information on shadow people, he's actually one of them. And in the movie in The Conjuring, they kinda do show him as a shadow person, like, he grows up from a shadow and becomes a person. But, yeah, so a very famous shadow person that many people have documented seeing is the Hat Man. I personally haven't seen the Hat Man, but I thought that was interesting, like, you've got the Hat Man and the old woman, the old hag. Well, that is pretty much all I have going on here for you guys. I just really wanted to bring it up and talk to you about it because I'm kinda curious as to what you guys think about shadow people. I'd love to hear your experiences. Do you guys think that there are possibly people that have passed on and they're kinda walking between the living and the dead and they have something to tell you? There have been some accounts of seeing shadow people in, like, hospices or nursing homes, and I think that's interesting and sad at the same time. Do you guys think they're spirits, or do you think they're possibly just, like, something that you made up out of your own head and your mind can't stop moving, and so you've made this up, and it's a thing called sleep paralysis? I personally think it's something paranormal, and I love to believe in things that can't be explained. And yeah, I can't wait to do some more spooky stuff with you. And as always, I've enjoyed having you. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much. Please remember, stay safe and stay spooky. Bye.